Welcome to Liz and Sandro's Marketing Podcast. Today, we are going to cover a topic that I have just been seeing in the periphery of my marketing duties. Google and Facebook have been talking more and more about something called LTV. In Google Analytics, as I am Google Analytics certified, something new that they're really pushing is LTV. Facebook is now asking you, what is your LTV? And what that means is lifetime value of a customer. And this is something I've never thought about, and something I know many small business owners haven't thought about and don't even know or can't even fathom how to begin thinking about this. I mentioned it to Liz and she was on it. She knows more about this than I do, so I'm letting her take over from here.
I think we've talked about this on an episode very briefly in the past, but this is a big thing for me. I tend to bring this up quite often when I'm talking with potential clients, and they get kind of a confused look on their face because they can't even comprehend how to calculate it. But so if I have a client that's paying me $1,500 a month and they're with me for 4 or 5 years, let's say 5 years, so 60 months, 60 times 1,500 is $90,000. So that's the lifetime value of a client for me. That's great. And then I think, okay, what am I willing to spend to acquire a $90,000 client? If, for example, let's say I'm asked to speak out of town. It's a speaking gig. It's not paid, so I have to cover my costs to get there. So a flight, hotel, meals. I might have to spend a couple $1,000s, but I know my business. So I know pretty much every time I speak, I'm going to acquire a client. And let's say on average, that lifetime value is $90,000. So it's a no-brainer for me to say, all right, I'm going to invest $2,500, and even that seems high, but $2,500 to get a $90,000 lifetime client. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Sandro and I, when we were chatting about this episode, let's use an athletic store, a running store. So how much does a pair of running shoes cost now?
I am in the market, funny you should ask that, for new running shoes. It's springtime here in Northeast Ohio, and it's running weather outside, and woohoo. I need new shoes, and the same guy I go to every year, every spring for a new pair of shoes, and I spend no less than $130 for a new pair of running shoes.
And you get a new pair every year?
Correct.
So let's say you're going there. Let's say you're committed to this guy for
local business owner, yeah.
10 years. So over the course of 10 years, you're going to spend $1,300 with him, and maybe even more.
Probably.
Socks and some other gear. So let's say it's $1,500. So let's pretend this store owner wants some new customers. He implements a friends and family program. So he does some emails, some Facebook promotion, and he offers a discount. Bring in a friend, and he gives both, $10 or $20 off the shoes that they buy that day. So he might spend $500 on this friends and family event. And if he gets, one client from it, he's seen a return on investment. Chances are he might get a handful of clients. So it's just kind of thinking out loud and thinking through the numbers. Most clients don't do that, but it's really important because you have to think through, okay, how much am I willing to spend on Facebook to get one client?
And you have to be realistic with these lifetime values, because once you punch them into Facebook and Google, they will say, hey, we just delivered you a brand new customer and there are $1,500 for you. So keep in mind that maybe your Google customers and your Facebook customers may be different. You may calculate a different lifetime value for them. Would that be fair to say?
Well, that's a good point. Yeah. And that may be like what I call, or what I say, you're getting your baseline metrics. That's actually a really good point. Your existing customers might be in a higher lifetime value range than some of these internet customers. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but then you'll know. And again, that will dictate what your budget should be, what you're willing to pay to acquire a customer through Facebook or through Google.
And I feel like you're right. Coming from a family with several small businesses, I know, like my brother, his eyes would glaze over if I said, so what's the lifetime value of each of your customers? He owns a restaurant or a couple of restaurants. He would look at me like, what? I have to worry about if the dishwasher is going to show up tonight, if the liquor's here, like how much food we have on hand for the weekend. I'm planning Cinco de Mayo. I don't have time to... Yeah. Cinco de Mayo is coming up. We should have a Cinco de Mayo episode.
Totally.
We should have tequila while we record.
I'm in.
So I know as a business owner, your eyes may glaze over and you may not want to think about it, but it's something you should think about. It's not a number that your marketer, your SEO, your ad agency can just come up with out of thin air. It's something you have to help them come up with.
Yeah, I see the same thing. Eyes glaze over, wheels start turning. How? Like, I have some clients that spend $10 and some that spend $100. Look at it as an average and start with some basic numbers, start to track it and see where you end up.
And again, so the benefit of knowing the lifetime value of a customer is
to know what your marketing budget should be, plain and simple. That's going to dictate how you spend your money, where you spend your money.
Hiring new salespeople or putting out new ads or things like that.
Exactly. So if you are serious about creating a working marketing budget, this is one of the numbers you're going to want to work through. And tweet us or send us an email. We'll be happy to work through this with you.
I know there's some great blog posts out there you mentioned that can help people come up with this number. So maybe we can share those.
Yeah, maybe we can include some of those in the show notes as well, because they go into a lot of detail about how to calculate these numbers.
Correct. So we're not going to give you all the answers of how to get to that number here because each industry is different and there's a lot that goes into it, but we want you to be aware, just as I'm recently becoming aware, that this number is important. And you may not be in that place right now to look for this number or to think about that number, but just know it's something you should at some point think about and investigate.
Definitely. So we'll include some links for you in the show notes. We'll include links to all of our social channels as well. We'd love to hear from you, so send us a note. That wraps up today's episode. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.